All right, we'll get started in a bit. Just checking everything out, making sure everything is working. So I'll give it a few more minutes. Hey Neil. Hey Mark. Are you able to hear me okay? Awesome. Thanks for the confirmation. I know there's a little bit of delay between um, me speaking and what I'm showing versus when you hear it. So apologies for that. I'll get started about 10:05 my time, so about 2 more minutes. Hope everyone is doing well. It's a rainy Saturday here in San Francisco, California. Oh, nice, Neil. What part of the East Bay? I actually moved to the East Bay from Maryland in 1988, and then moved to San Francisco in 2008. Oh, cool, Mark. Yeah, if you make your way out here, let me know. I can show you around. All right, I think we're at a good place to get started. So, thank you everyone for coming. My name is John. If you don't know me, I'm also known as Jouster Guy, and I'm the developer behind the Pro Wrestling Superstar Simulator. That's based on the Superstar Pro Wrestling board game. If you don't know about the Superstar Pro Wrestling board game, I strongly recommend that you Google it. It's super easy to learn, quick to play, and is an incredibly fun board game. It is by far probably my favorite board game that I've ever played. I played it as a young child back in the '80s and fell in love with it. And in the early 2000s, I built Pro Wrestling Superstar, which is a simulation of that board game, and here we are now. So today I'm going to talk about Pro Wrestling Superstar 2.0, which is the next generation of the simulator for the PC and the Mac. Let's see. So just today, what I'm going to cover are a few topics. Number one, why am I even bothering doing PWS 2.0? What the current state of PWS 2.0 is, pricing of PWS 2, what's new in PWS 2, demo some of the features, and then talk about some of the future work that is on deck in terms of like bigger features for taking PWS to the next level, quote unquote. And yeah, this is like a super casual discussion, demo, whatever you want to call it. So feel free to just chime in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat for comments and questions. But yeah, again, this is very casual, so please feel free to chime in. Oh, sorry, looking at the chat. Oh, Pinole, yeah, I know about Pinole. Yeah, I lived in I grew up in a town. Well, at the time it was called West Pittsburgh. Now it's called Bay Point. And so it wasn't too far from Pinole. Oh, Raymond, good to see you. Good to see you. Currently in the land of enchantment, not by choice. Hilarious. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So why even bother with PWS 2.0? And again, I put this slide deck together just because I wanted to keep my thoughts organized. This will be very quick. This will not be a long, boring slide deck presentation, hopefully. But I did want to just kind of run through some stuff just to give everybody an update on where things are at. So getting back to, why would I even bother? What we have already works and it's playable, and why not just add to what's already there? PWS was written in 2003, so 21 years ago. A lot of the underlying technology is old, and it's really challenging to maintain. And so I think if I were to just keep going with PWS as it is, eventually, like, it would just stop working. And so we've already seen this a little bit on Macs that have the M1 processor or a later processor, where PWS just doesn't run on those machines. So, it's just time to revisit it and bring it into a more modern era. I also want to continue improving the code, make it look better. And, there still is a lot of room for really cool features to add to PWS. So those are really the justifications for why I wanted to come back to it and make it better. So I'm super excited to be working on it, and I'm having a lot of fun getting it back up and running. So what's the current state of PWS 2.0? So there's been a lot of under the hood bug fixes and updates. The biggest one being that the tools that I used to build PWS were very old, so I updated those, and I spent a lot of time just getting things just working with, with those new tools and getting everything wired up. I've also made a lot of match engine changes and fixes, and so that took up a lot of time just getting things running. The first round of new major features is pretty much complete. I'll talk about those in a bit. There have also been a number of smaller additions that I need to do, more visual improvements, and just smaller fixes that I need to wrap up. There are currently a few testers, and I'd like to add a few more soon. So, I'll probably make a call out in the next few weeks or so to try to line up a few more testers to help test things out. And I'm hoping to ship it this summer. I know that I always get myself into trouble when I give a timeline, and that's terrible, because I've been giving a timeline for probably the last 10 years in terms of when I want to release a new version of PWS 2.0, I should say. So I'm trying to be as vague as possible, and I'm also saying that I'm hoping to ship this summer and not guaranteeing that I will ship this summer. Bouncing back to the smaller editions, One of the things that came up in the A Show Facebook group was a memo field, and so that's one of the things that I think I'll add. And what that is just you can put arbitrary data in there in the wrestler editor, and then that data will show up in the wrestler selection screen and also on the action card when you're viewing an action card, either through the view wrestler or while it's running a match. So yeah, lots of fun stuff still to wrap up for this first release, and I'm steadily plugging away. Next up is everybody's favorite topic, pricing. I just wanted to mention this just to give everyone an idea, and this is all subject to change, but this is my current thinking about this. So, PWS, the original version, I felt like it was, looking back, it was pretty significantly underpriced at $10, given all the features and the support that it had. With the amount of work that's already been put into 2.0 and the support I'm going to provide, it just feels like $30 is a reasonable price. I surveyed a bunch of folks and asked around, and I think the general consensus was, 25 to $30. So I just went with the high end of that. For folks who have an existing PWS license, the upgrade pricing will be $20. And originally I was going to make the PWS 2.0 a free upgrade for folks who participated in the early access program, which I had started a few years ago. But unfortunately, my current payment provider charges for every transaction, even if I give the software away for free. So I'm basically just trying to break even on giving it away for free. So what I'll do is, for the early access folks, I'll give all those folks a coupon and that'll allow them to upgrade for $5. Cool. So what's new? I think the biggest forward user facing thing is the new match interface, which I'll show in a minute. There are wrestler images now in the match interface. You can add them in the wrestler editor, and there's a new results database filter and search. And you can now export wrestler match results. Again, this is just, it exports a specific wrestler's match results to CSV. And you can actually, if you filter the data using these new database filters, you can also export that filtered data as well to CSV. And then you can bring it into Excel or Google Sheets and slice and dice it however you need to. Also, there's a pretty significant wrestler loading speed up. It's now 80 times faster, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm kind of walking through the demo section of this. But it's a pretty significant performance improvement. And then just some basic improvements to wrestler selection in battle royals and tournaments. All right, so the first thing we'll start with is a new match interface. So let me get PWS up and running here. And this is just my development build, so there are things that are still broken. So if anything goes wrong, don't be too harsh on me. But I just a caveat, word of warning: things might fall apart and break, but I still wanted to show you guys what's going on. So what I'll do is I will run a tag team match, so you can see how the new tag team interface works, and I'll run it interactively just so you can see how tagging in and tagging out works. So we'll do the Roadies versus Abdullah the Butcher and Tully Blanchard. And I'm doing that because those are the only wrestlers that I have images for currently. So just bear with me here. So we'll start the match. And as you can see, in the middle of the screen, we've got wrestler images for the wrestlers that are currently in the ring. And then to the bottom left and right, you've got the other wrestlers that are outside of the ring. So in Superstar Pro Wrestling terms, the men out are the folks that are down in the lower left and right corners of the screen, and the men in images are kind of, you know, right next to the match image, front and center. So we'll just roll through this. Any questions at this point? I know there, like I said, I know there's a delay, so we'll see how this goes. And unfortunately, the audio from PWS isn't being sent to this stream. I couldn't get it working. There's just some weird thing with my development build that doesn't allow the audio from PWS to make it over. So as you can see here, where before you had, you know, you kind of had this button that always was around for tagging in and out. Now, whenever a wrestler is eligible to tag out, there will be, like you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner here next to Road Warrior Hawk, he's got a tag in button. And you just click that to tag him in. It swaps him out. And the intent here was just to try to keep the interface as clean as possible, just so there's not a lot of unnecessary buttons or stuff going on. So I tried to make it simple and clean and straightforward. Let me know if that doesn't make sense to y'all, or if the like if you feel like there's a better way for doing tagging in and tagging out. But I figured a button just popping up next to them made the most sense to me. So let's see if we can get another one here. Yeah. So again, since the Road Warriors are priority 3 plus tag team, they generally are eligible to tag in almost every round. Okay, so I mean, I hope you get the idea, like the general idea of the match interface. Oh, and let me back up a little bit. So the action cards are now more front and center, so that you see the entire action card as the match is playing out, as opposed to before, where it's kind of like in a smaller little window that it had to scroll around and scroll to the right move and scroll to the right action, and it was. I think this is a little bit better. The drawback, unfortunately, is that the actual match output window is a little bit smaller, but I think that's a reasonable compromise. So let me see if I can get through this, because I want to also show you the. Actually, I'll stop this match and we will run. And these, just to say it, like these, you know, where it says to run a match, this is all placeholder stuff just until I'm ready to ship. I think what I'm going to put there are just instructions for people to get started, because that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback I got, was that, you know, how do I start? How do I run a match? So I want to, you know, in these little empty boxes here, I want to give people, you know, just give people instructions on how to do some of the basic stuff within PWS. So let's just run. We'll run like Andre and Mike Sharp, and we'll run them CPU. And I'll turn off everything here, and we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't blow up, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was quick. Andre wins with the bear hug in 2 minutes. Since I don't have an image for Andre, you've got that big black space where his image would be. You'll also notice that the thing that's missing currently is the way to save to the results database and all that stuff. So that's something that I'll add in the next few days. So, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what the after action report looked like. And you could still, you know, copy and paste from here. And I'm also going to add a button so that you can just save it out directly. I'm not sure if that button will show up in the first release of 2.0, but I will eventually add a button probably down next to the OK button to save the match results to a file. Cool. All right. So that's the match interface. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'm happy to discuss that more. Wrestler images. So you've already seen them in the match interface. Let's just open up a wrestler editor, and I'll show you. So when you scroll down to the bottom of the basic info, you'll see a spot where you can select a wrestler image. So I'll just browse. And I'm just going to steal one that's already there. Or not. Where did I put them? Oh, there we go. So just as a test, I'll just grab Abdullah the Butchers, and you can see now that it's there. So, and then once you save this out, you'll have an image for, that image will be saved with that wrestler, and it'll show up in all matches and other places wherever images are shown for that wrestler. Cool. Yes, I want to close the wrestler builder. And then let's see what's next. Wrestler match export. So actually, I will show that a little later when I'm doing the results database stuff. So we'll skip that for now. And then in terms of the wrestler loading speed ups, you'll have to trust me on this, that it's 80 times faster, because the current machine that I'm on doesn't really show a delay, even with all the wrestlers in the repository installed. But on an old Windows machine that I've been testing on, the wrestler loading time went from 4 minutes to 3 seconds, and that's a pretty significant speed up. So again, you'll just have to trust me, and significantly faster now. Improved wrestler selection in battle royals and tournaments. So I'm still working on the tournament stuff, so I'll just show you. I think a lot of you have seen this already, but I'll just show it live here. So, previously in the battle royal wrestler selection screen, you had the check boxes, but you had to do a lot of scrolling, which is problematic if you have over 5,000 wrestlers installed in PWS. But now, we've got this ability to search, so you can, search for Ric Flair, Dusty, and I think if you select multiple, it should, yeah. So as you're selecting them, you can add them. Or you can select one and then say, I select all these people and check them. It'll add them all. So just some quality of life improvements to make wrestler selection a little easier. All right. And moving on to, and then one of the things that was asked for was results database filtering and searching. So let's try that out here. So we'll edit the Rich Athlete. Rich Athlete is a wrestler that I created for Donald's fantasy promotion. So he is undefeated in my current promotion here, beating greats such as Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair again in the cage. So I'll show you the filtering. So let's say, for instance, we want to see all the matches for the Rich Athlete that were between 30 minutes and, say, 90 minutes. So you can just here type in match type, and we'll say 30, 00 to, we'll say 90 minutes. And we've got our first bug here. Let's see. This was just working a few minutes ago, I swear. Let's go back. Okay. Let me see. Type. Bear with me here. 10 to 90. All right. Well, that's not working. Let's try event star. So so that's working. So you can search by event. You can search by opponent. Ric Flair. There. Oop, can't type. Yeah. And so and you could theoretically say, let's say we want to do all of the matches where he won. So we'll say all the matches that he won with a finishing move of luxurious leg lock. Yeah. So that's one way you can kind of filter and search your data, and from here you can actually export the results if you want to. So, and the other cool thing about this is like you can come up with all these filters, and ultimately in the long term I'll have a way of copy and pasting these, or of saving these, and then you can easily recall them, so that if you have commonly used filters that will you can easily recall them and run them. I'm not sure what happened with the match. Oh, did I? Let's see. Let me just try this one more time here. 30 to 90. Oh, okay. I think I know what I did wrong. I was typing match type instead of match time. Okay. So yeah. For match time, you can say anything. Here is the example of 30 minutes to 90 minutes, and you see how that works. And then the last thing you can do, you can say year 2022 to 2024, and that'll show you everything. So at least for the rich athlete. So yeah, I think that's kind of a neat feature to allow you to just quickly slice and dice the data that you want, and then let's just go ahead and export from here. Hopefully this will work. We'll just call it rich athlete test.csv, and then I'm gonna run. Sorry, I didn't have this ready, but I'll import it into Numbers, which is the spreadsheet app for the Mac. So just bear with me for a second here as I roll through that. Any questions so far? Any thoughts? Am I on the wrong track? Am I messing anything up here? Does this all seem to make sense to all of you? Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll bring my numbers over here, and I swear I literally just did this in the moment, but you can see that rich athlete test, all the data is there. So yeah, I mean being able to export a wrestler's results does work. All right. Cool. And then that's pretty much the big stuff for this initial release of 2.0. I have a lot of stuff planned for the future, but at this point, like, I spent so much time getting it up and running, and I just wanted to get a few new features and the new match interface in. And I feel like this is a pretty good place to release things. As far as the future goes, I think the big feature that's looming out there that I've always wanted to do, and it's going to be hard because it's just a tricky thing to build, is the match editor. And I know, like, that's been a long standing request, and the truth is I haven't done it because it takes a ton of time. And so I feel like now with the improvements that I'm making to the code and the way things work in PWS, I think it'll be a little bit easier. So I'm looking forward to working on that and making a cool match editor. The other thing is exporting the entire results database, so you can see all the results for every wrestler, slice and dice it in the results database editor if you need to, and then export all that if you need to. I know a lot of people are interested or love data and love manipulating that data. So just giving you better tools to do that with the entire results database. Continuing to refine the results database. One of the things that was mentioned and I thought was a good idea was splitting that location field into a city and a venue, just so you can have more fine-grained descriptions of the matches, and also more fine-grained ability to search based on those sorts of things. Also, being able to designate title matches before a match, as opposed to the way it currently works now, where you have to be in a promotion, like you have to have a promotion set, and the match runs, and then if there's a champion that loses, the match, then it prompts you and says, "Oh, do you want to do a title change?" And I know that's kind of wonky, so I'm looking at just being able to designate a title match up front, and then you could. I think at the end you still have the option of accepting that, like if the title is supposed to change hands, I think you should still have the option of saying, no, I don't want the title to change hands. But at least being able to designate a title match up front would be a great thing to add. Also, adding a battle royal to a card, that's pretty straightforward and easy thing to do. And then more templates for creating cards and events. One suggestion was like, oh, it'd be cool if the the cards that we export and work on look like an old school event poster from back in the day. So I think that's pretty easy to do. I've structured the card editor in such a way that you can create your own templates. So I'll create an example of like an old school event poster, and then maybe in the future I can do a live stream or something just showing how to create your own template to make it look however you want. Also, gimmick battle royals, so things like Bunkhouse Stampede, Steel Cage battle royals, just trying to take this thing to the next level. And then tag team cards, which I think is an awesome idea. And so the way I'm envisioning this working is a wrestler, you roll, someone rolls OCTT, and instead of the regular double teaming rules, it switches to the tag team card, which might have some double team. Like it might just default. It might roll. Sorry, let me back up here. On the tag team card, it might just end up doing the double team rules, but also it'll have specialized double team moves for for the given tag team. So like, perfect example for the Road Warriors is like the Doomsday Device, or Rock and Roll Express double drop kick, just that sort of thing. But I really like that idea, and I think it would be a super neat addition to PWS. Cool. So, any questions? I know, like I said, I know there's a delay, so just want to give time to see if you had any thoughts or questions or anything I'm missing. I think one thing that might be useful is I still feel like it's useful to have a Zoom session, maybe not with a bunch of people, but just a few people to just really kind of talk through interactively how some of this stuff works, because I just want to make sure that I'm not messing anything up for anyone. It feels like it's in a good place, and it feels like it's all good. I mean, there are probably tons of bugs that I'm hoping folks testing will catch the majority of those, but yeah, I just think there's still an opportunity to kind of get together and talk about this in more detail and in a more interactive way. James, will we be able to do 2 out of 3 falls matches? Um, Not in this first release, but I think that's something I have on the list. I should have mentioned that as well. I think there's still some discussion about how that should work in terms of like after the first fall, do you reset the points? Do you add some sort of fatigue factor? I think there's still some design questions around how 2 out of 3 falls should work. So I'd love to talk about that more and get feedback from y'all about how you think that should work. I think that would, I would love to add that. So if there's a good design and a good way of making that work, I'm totally down to add that. That was a great question. Thank you for that. Um, let's see. Just kind of looking through the chat to see if I missed anything. Oh, Raymond, yeah, yeah. I think I answered your question already, but with the 80 times speed up for wrestler loading, yes, I tested that on an old Windows machine that only had like I think 4 gigs of RAM, and it's really old, and it took about 4 minutes on that machine to load up every wrestler in the wrestler repository. And after I made the change, it went down to 3 seconds. So I think I'm pretty good. And so once it'll be interesting. I haven't gotten feedback from any testers on the wrestler loading yet, so I'm hoping to get more feedback on that. All right. Any other questions? Let's see here. I mean, so if there aren't any other questions, I do want to just say thank you all for popping in, and I appreciate you. This, like I've said so many times before, this community is by far the best gaming community I've ever been a part of, and I appreciate all of you, all the support and encouragement. Even in those times where like it feels like, man, I shouldn't. I'm really I'm really frustrated with working on this, or you know, just those down moments, and then I see something from one of you guys, whether it's a show or some new wrestlers or some new matches, or just something creative that you guys have done, and it gets me motivated to work on it again. So again, I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate this community, and I just can't say thank you enough. I'm super grateful for all the support and encouragement. Okay. Oh, there is another question from James. Will there be an option to select 10 count or 20 count for Out of the Ring? Ooh, that's a good one. I hadn't really thought about that, but that is a good option. I'm thinking that, yeah. I guess the only part I would, yeah, that I'm thinking through that it might be tricky to figure out how to actually do the 20 count. Like it would just be a different kind of dice roll, and I just have to figure that out. But yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll add that to the list. James also asks, will 8 and 10 man tag matches be possible? Yes. So not in this current release, but the way I've restructured the match engine should make 8 and basically an arbitrary number of tag size of tag matches will be possible. So it's really more about, like, in those cases where we're doing like the larger and larger tag team matches, it's really about figuring out how the double teaming and triple teaming and quadruple teaming and all that stuff will work. So yeah, I mean, I think, again, like, the match engine is set up in such a way that it'll allow for me to add those features. It's just figuring out how to make the double teaming work. That's really the trickiest part of all the tag team stuff. But yeah, I think that's totally doable. Let's see. Mark says, thank you for 2 decades of dedication in a small niche. Seeing so many Sims go in and out, the dedication speaks volume. Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it has been super fun. Like, and it's amazing. Like when I tell people, like, hey, I made this small wrestling simulator, and there's a community of folks playing it, and this community has existed for over 20 years. They're like, that's amazing, and it really is amazing to think that, um, like Mark is saying, it's very niche, it's very, very, very specific, and yeah, and it gets very easily one of those things that, like, you could just blow it off as but to me it's like really very special, like that. Some of you have been playing since the beginning, and that just blows me away. I mean, I love working on it. I love, as you probably have guessed, I love to program. Like that's definitely one of my that's one of my favorite things to do. So this is like a perfect blend and balance of things that I enjoy. So yeah, again, I appreciate you all. Let's see, S Hills 23. It's a pleasure to be a part of it, and I appreciate you for all the hard work. To have been able to edit and add matches for the community has made me feel like I'm really contributing to it. For sure. Yeah. Every contribution, I think, I obviously appreciate it, but I'm 100% confident that the entire community appreciates, like, your contributions and everyone else's contributions to just, this small niche community of folks who just, love, the Superstar Pro Wrestling game if you played it, and love creating their universes and federations and promotions. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like it's not so, for me, it's not so much about like how it's not a, like, it's not a money making thing, right? Obviously, sure, like, you'd like to be compensated for your work, but it's more about, like, being able to give you all the tools to create these awesome universes and federations and shows and wrestlers and matches and all that stuff. Like, to me, that's really, that I know this sounds cliche, but that really is the biggest reward. So thank you all again. I sincerely appreciate everything. Okay, so if there isn't anything else, I mean, I can hang around in the chat for a bit if you just have random questions or thoughts or just anything, even if it's not related to PWS. I'll hang around for a little bit longer. I don't know if I can vamp for too much longer, so if there aren't any questions within the next few minutes or so, I'll probably shut it down. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else that I missed. Oh, I did have a question. Is anyone watching Backlash tonight? I'm way behind on the current product. I pretty much only watch the pay-per-views, and even that, I don't really catch all of those. So, yeah, the only thing I know is Cody and AJ Styles are wrestling for the strap, but I don't know any of the other matches on the card. Okay, Neil, the results database. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Neil. Did I miss something? Yeah, let me know if I missed something. If you're talking about like an overhaul of the results database, most of the overhaul was under the hood, and oh, okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm seeing it now, Neil. For a search, we currently just type the wrestler's name to see all the results for that wrestler. Oh yeah, all that stuff still works. So if you don't do any of the filtering or any of that stuff, yeah, it just works as it used to. The filters are just if you want to search for something specific. So Let me pull up the results database again here. So yeah, if you just start typing, right, like this still works the way it used to, right? But if say you wanted to, for a search, we currently just type the wrestler's name to see all of the results for that wrestler. Yeah. I think I get what you're asking, but the filters just give you the ability to be more specific. So like if you wanted to just search for, rich athlete where his opponent was Hulk Hogan, you can do that if you want, right? Like, or you can just say Hulk Hogan. Either way, but when you type in the search field, like just like this, it's searching all the fields for the text that you type in. So the filter just allows you to be specific about what you're searching for. Like, oh, I just want to see all of the Star Wars events. Happy May the 4th, by the way. May the 4th be with you. If I want to just search all the Star Wars events, right, like I can just say, oh, just show me all the Star Wars. And you can do it that way. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of up to how you want to slice and dice and search and all that stuff. I think the power is really in, like, questions like, oh, man, I want to see all the matches where the rich athlete won with the luxurious leg lock and the opponent was Andre the Giant. Or I want to see all the matches where the rich athlete wrestled between 30 and 60 minutes and won with the 7-figure suplex, right? Like, I think that's where the power of those filters come in. So, cool. Okay, so sounds like no one's watching Backlash. I'm not sure if I will either. So, yeah, we'll see. And then I have not been watching AEW other than YouTube clips of Toni Storm, which I think she is absolutely hilarious. That gimmick with the timeless Toni Storm, kind of the old timey Hollywood actress gimmick is, man, that is hilarious. So anytime I can watch a clip of her, like that's pretty much all I care about from AEW is just watching her promos. Like I don't even really watch the matches or anything. Her promos are just so hilarious that like I'm always on the lookout for those. What else we got here? All right. Well, I think we're in a good place. We did about 50 minutes or 45 minutes. So, yeah, if there's nothing else, again, thank you all for stopping by and checking it out. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up in the on the A Show, or you can email me at jousterguy@yahoo.com. I'm also on Twitter, not very often, but I have a Twitter handle, jousterguy. Also, there is an Instagram PWS page. The handle is jousterguy there. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting this thing wrapped up and out to you all to test, and then eventually play. Oh, also, if you're interested in testing, let me know. Yeah, just send me a direct message or email or something, and we can work that out. So, all right, y'all. Thanks again, and I will talk with you soon. See you.